Have you ever felt that sting, the kind that hides behind a smile, a tone, a joke that cuts just a little too deep? Disrespect rarely shouts. It moves like smoke, slipping quietly through the cracks of your calm. One moment you tell yourself it's nothing. The next, you realize something has shifted, not in them, but in you. Your silence starts to tremble. Your pride wants to fight. Your mind replays every word, searching for justice that never comes. I've seen it too many times. People push to react, only to lose the very power they were trying to defend. Because that's what disrespect is, a test of control, a game played in the shadows of ego. They want your reaction, not your reason. But what if you refuse to give it? What if, instead of burning with anger, you became the fire that doesn't consume, only illuminates? The Stoics called that strength. The world calls it indifference. But it's more than that. It's mastery. Stay a little longer, and I'll show you how silence can become the sharpest answer you'll ever give. As we step into the first chapter, picture this: a crowded room, laughter hanging in the air, and then a single line cuts through it. It's framed as a joke, but it lands like a blade. Your chest tightens, your thoughts race, and for a split second, you forget who you are. That's how disrespect enters, quietly, deliberately, like a thief studying the locks before breaking in. It's never spontaneous. They knew what they were doing. They watched your eyes before they spoke, waiting to see if they could shake you. This isn't about the words, it's about the effect. They want chaos, not conversation. Control, not connection. The cheapest way to feel powerful is to make someone else feel small. That's the game. And your reaction is the prize. You see, insults are never random. They're crafted like weapons, aimed at the softest part of you, the part still craving to be understood, to be seen, to be right. But here's the truth: once you react, you hand over everything they were after: your peace, your clarity, your control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't be." The Stoic doesn't deny the sting, he simply refuses to bleed for it. What pierces you is not the insult itself, but your permission for it to matter. When you take offense, you enter their arena, playing by rules designed for you to lose. Think of it this way: they offer you chaos, hoping you'll trade your peace for it. But when you stay silent, you deny the trade. You walk away richer. Your silence confuses them because it leaves them with their own noise. And that's something most people can't live with: the sound of themselves. So the next time someone tries to provoke you, pause. Don't give them your energy. Don't sell your calm for their approval. Some fights are won not by striking back, but by refusing to step into the ring. Let your silence be the mirror that exposes them. Because in that quiet, you're not losing control, you're mastering it. Moving into the second chapter, think about this. Sometimes the storm isn't outside of you, it's standing right in front of you, disguised as another person's ego. They throw words like stones, hoping you'll break so they can feel tall. But here's the truth: disrespect has nothing to do with you. It's a mirror reflecting their own emptiness. People who live in peace don't go around provoking others. People who are whole inside have no hunger to wound. When someone disrespects you, what they're really saying is, "I feel small and I need your pain to remind myself that I exist." Now imagine this: someone insults you, expecting you to explode. They're ready for your anger, your defense, your reaction. But instead, you give them nothing. No glare, no comeback, just stillness, presence. And suddenly, everything shifts. They stumble over their words. Their voice loses confidence. Why? Because your silence exposes what they tried to hide, their weakness. In that quiet space, they're forced to hear themselves, and most people can't stand the sound of their own cruelty. Seneca once wrote, "He who does wrong to himself. Every act of disrespect is self-inflicted. It's a confession. The emotionally broken use others as mirrors to avoid seeing what's missing within. But when you refuse to react, when you hold your peace like a fortress, their reflection turns back on them. They have to face what they've been running from, their own insignificance. Your silence isn't avoidance. It's awareness. It's not weakness. It's wisdom." The Stoic understands that control doesn't mean holding back anger. It means choosing not to give it a stage. Every time you respond to disrespect, you feed it. Every time you stay calm, you starve it. Disrespect dies in the absence of attention. So the next time someone throws dirt your way, don't fight for cleanliness. Rise above the mud. You owe no one a reaction. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself mastery. Because if someone has to belittle you to feel important, they were never your equal. They're not a rival to defeat. They're a lesson to outgrow. Hold your silence like a sword. Let it reflect light instead of cutting. Because the strongest answer to disrespect isn't rage. It's elevation. And from that height, the noise below can no longer touch you. Advancing to the third chapter, picture this. A moment where your silence is louder than any shout could ever be. Someone crosses a line, expecting fire, expecting chaos, expecting you to lose yourself in the noise. But you don't. You simply walk away. Not out of fear, but out of strength. Because you've learned that the most powerful victories often happen in silence. The mind of a person who tries to hurt others is never a peaceful place. It's crowded with guilt, fear, and insecurity. They project that unrest onto others, hoping to find relief. But when you don't engage, when your energy stays still, you leave them alone with what they were trying to escape, themselves. Your calm becomes their echo chamber, and that echo will haunt them far longer than any argument ever could. Seneca once said, "He who angers you conquers you." The Stoic knows that reacting is surrendering the throne of your mind to someone unworthy of sitting on it. So instead, you hold your posture. You stay composed. You let silence do what words never can, reveal truth. Because silence is not emptiness. It's a mirror. It shows people who they really are when their noise no longer has somewhere to land. Maybe you've felt it before, a sharp comment thrown your way, a public mockery meant to make you shrink. You might have wondered, why me? What did I do? The answer is simple. You did nothing. You just exist with a presence they can't imitate. Confidence threatens the insecure. Peace disturbs the chaotic. You represent the version of themselves they wish they could be, composed, grounded, unshaken. That's why they test you, not to teach you, but to see if they can pull you into their storm. But here's where the game ends. You don't react. You don't explain. You just breathe. Your silence confuses them because it leaves them with no emotional fuel to burn. And soon, their overthinking begins to eat them alive. They question themselves. They replay the moment. They spiral, and all you did was stand still. So the next time someone tries to pull you down, remember this: you don't owe chaos your participation. You owe yourself peace. The fire inside you must stay under your command, not theirs. Control it, or it will be used against you, because in the end, your silence isn't withdrawal, it's elevation, and from that higher ground, they can no longer reach you. From here, take a step back and picture yourself standing at a fork in the road. On one side lies chaos, shouting matches, drained energy, sleepless nights spent defending your dignity to people who will never understand it. On the other side lies silence, calm, deliberate, untouchable, no explanations, no arguments, just clarity. One path consumes you, the other refines you. Which one do you think leads to greatness? The Stoics knew the answer long before we did. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That single sentence holds the power to rewrite an entire life, because every insult, every challenge, every test of ego, it all comes down to that one decision. Will you descend into noise, or will you rise into calm? Imagine someone disrespects you. Your pulse quickens. The urge to prove yourself flares up. Your pride whispers, "Say something," but wisdom says, "Don't." You breathe instead. You observe. You walk away. And in that silence, something remarkable happens. Their power dissolves, because when you don't react, you become unpredictable, and nothing unsettles chaos more than a calm it cannot provoke. Here's your checklist when disrespect comes knocking. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't chase validation. Look at them with clarity, not anger. Then turn your focus back to what actually matters. Your craft, your purpose, your evolution. While they waste their energy trying to stir conflict, you're out there building something permanent. While they talk, you transform. Silence doesn't mean weakness. It means precision. It means knowing when to move and when to stay still. In the battlefield of emotion, stillness is strategy. Because silence is not the absence of power, it's its purest form. It's control wrapped in calm, strength with direction, fire under discipline. So walk the quiet path, the Stoic path, the one where you build instead of react. Because in time, the life you create in silence will speak louder than any defense ever could. Let them wonder why you didn't respond. Let them drown in their own noise. You just keep rising. And when they finally turn to look for you again, they'll realize you've already outgrown the battlefield. At this stage, we face a truth most people spend their entire lives running from. You will never control how someone chooses to treat you. You can only control how you respond. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. The Stoics understood this long before we gave it language. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The rest of the world keeps trying to reverse that law, wasting entire lifetimes trying to change others, chasing apologies, demanding validation, managing chaos that was never theirs to manage. And in doing so, they lose control over the only thing they were ever meant to govern, themselves. When someone disrespects you, it's not your job to correct them, it's your job to protect your peace. The moment you believe your worth depends on how someone else behaves, you hand them power they didn't earn. That's exactly what toxic people want: control over your emotions, your attention, your state of mind. But once you understand that no one can make you feel small without your permission, you become untouchable. Now imagine walking into a room. Someone rolls their eyes, throws a sarcastic comment, trying to hook you. Two paths appear. The first, you react, defend, explain. You fall into their game. Your calm burns away. They win. The second, you pause, breathe. Remember, this is not about me. You don't engage. You stay composed. And in that moment, everything flips. You keep your dignity. They lose their grip. That's not passivity. That's precision. That's mastery. People confuse silence with surrender, but silence isn't giving up the fight, it's choosing the battlefield. You're not ignoring disrespect because you didn't notice. You're ignoring it because it's beneath the level you operate on. You don't explain your value to someone committed to misunderstanding you. You demonstrate it through your calm, your consistency, your absence. A CEO once said, "The higher you rise, the quieter you must become." At the top, distractions don't just cost peace, they cost everything. Apply that to your own life. Every time you react to people who don't matter, you're paying for it with your peace, your progress, your presence. So ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Does this align with my purpose? If not, silence is the answer. Because silence isn't retreat, it's leadership. And when you enforce your boundaries without a single word, you prove the ultimate truth. They never had power over you. You just stopped lending it to them. Entering the 6th chapter, let's talk about silence. Not the kind that hides fear, but the kind that holds power. People often mistake silence for absence. They think if you're quiet, you've surrendered. But true silence, real silence, is not emptiness, it's control. It's the sound of strength sharpening itself, and it is one of the most psychologically disarming forces a human being can ever use. Imagine this: someone disrespects you. A cruel comment, a public jab, a smirk meant to humiliate. They want noise, a fight, a spark, something they can feed on. But instead of reacting, you give them nothing. No anger, no sarcasm, not even eye contact, just calm, grounded presence. And that's when everything starts to shift. Because suddenly, they feel it, the weight of their own words bouncing back at them. Your silence becomes a mirror. It forces them to see who they really are. Most people can't handle that. Silence confronts them with their own conscience. It makes them wonder, did I go too far? Why didn't they respond? What are they thinking? That's when panic sets in, because silence is not passive, it's power under control. It turns their attempt to dominate into their own unraveling. Seneca once said, "The greatest revenge is not to be like your enemy. When you refuse to engage, you separate yourself from their chaos. You rise above their storm, and in that stillness, you don't just protect your peace, you expose their weakness." Picture this in real life. A co-worker spreads lies about you to damage your reputation. The easy reaction is to confront, defend, retaliate. But the Stoic response? Stay calm, stay focused, keep delivering results. Because when you stay silent and consistent, the truth starts working for you. They self-destruct, not because you fought them, but because they drained themselves trying to shake someone who refused to move. That's what silence does. It denies toxic people the control they crave. It doesn't soften the blow of their actions. It magnifies it. It forces them to sit in the discomfort they tried to hand to you. So the next time someone crosses the line, don't rush to defend your peace. Stand still in it. Let your composure speak for you. Because when your silence echoes through their chaos, it doesn't just silence them. It reminds them they never had power in the first place. At this stage, something begins to shift inside you, a quiet revelation that you no longer need to announce your worth. You stop explaining, you stop proving, you stop shouting into the void, hoping to be understood. Because one day, every strong person realizes this truth. Karma speaks louder than revenge. When someone disrespects you, your ego demands justice. It screams, they should pay. They should feel what I felt. But the Stoic within whispers back, let them. Life already has a plan. When you stay silent after being disrespected, you are not being passive. You are stepping aside, allowing the universe to restore its balance. People who hurt others aren't evil by design. They're running from pain they can't confront. They insult, they betray, they mock, not because of you, but because of the war they've lost within themselves. When you remain calm, when you refuse to return fire, you're saying to life, I trust you to take care of this. You're declaring, I won't let their chaos infect my peace. And here's what most people never see coming. While they waste their energy gossiping, you're building. While they mock, you're growing. While they throw dirt, you're planting seeds. That's the kind of revenge the wise understand. The one no one expects, because it's quiet. You don't clap back. You don't seek closure. You let your life do the talking. Marcus Aurelius lived by this truth. Surrounded by betrayal, politics, and war, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That wasn't philosophy, that was survival. Calm wasn't his comfort, it was his weapon, and it can be yours too, because calmness, in a world that worships noise, is an act of rebellion. When someone throws fire at you and you don't burn, they panic. When you don't react, they unravel. Their power depends on your reaction. Without it, they fall apart. Your stillness becomes their mirror, and their reflection terrifies them. So breathe. When provoked, stay grounded. When insulted, stay silent. When tempted to fight, remember, you're not here to win arguments. You're here to master yourself, because real power isn't loud. It's controlled. It's silent. It's the calm that walks through chaos untouched, knowing that every storm eventually destroys itself. From here we enter a different kind of silence, not the quiet that hides emotion, but the silence that erases power. Some people think silence is weakness, but the truth, silence is strategy. And when you take it one step further, when you move beyond quiet into complete indifference, you don't just take back your strength, you dissolve theirs. Because nothing cuts deeper than realizing you no longer matter to the person you tried to break. Disrespect is rarely random. It's a test, a provocation designed to measure access. Can they still reach you, still make you flinch, still occupy space in your mind? That's what they want to know. But when you stop reacting, when you stop even noticing, they fail the test. You make them irrelevant. And irrelevance to the manipulative is death. Because such people don't survive on truth. They survive on significance. If they can make you angry, they feel powerful. If they can make you cry, they feel justified. But if you walk past them as if they never existed, their illusion shatters. That's when they realize they've lost control. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, in the calm smile you wear when nothing can trigger you, in the peace you protect that no one else can touch. The opposite of love isn't hate. Hate still acknowledges the other person. The real opposite is indifference, because indifference deletes them completely. Let's be honest, disrespect is rarely personal. It's projection. It's their insecurity, their failure, their pain disguised as an attack. They throw it at you hoping you'll carry it. But when you don't, when you refuse to play, they're left alone with their own noise. They argue with silence. And silence never loses. Irrelevance hurts more than retaliation ever could. Toxic people crave proof they still live in your head. But when their name means nothing, when your heart doesn't move, when their memory no longer stirs emotion, that's real victory. Healing isn't about forgiveness or closure. It's about moving so far forward that they can't even see your dust. And if you ever ask, what about justice? Remember this, your evolution is justice, your peace is revenge, your growth is the answer. While they're still talking, you're building. While they're trapped in the past, you're becoming untouchable. So let karma whisper what you no longer need to say. Let them feel your absence louder than your words. Because in your story, they're not the ending. They're just a forgotten footnote. Entering the 9th chapter, let's be honest, we've all felt it. That burning desire to see justice, to watch those who disrespected us stumble, to see them humbled by life itself. You imagine their regret, their apology arriving too late. It's human. But here's the truth. Karma doesn't need an audience. It doesn't move faster because you're watching. And the longer you wait for it, the more of your energy you give to people who no longer deserve it. Karma doesn't need your supervision. It doesn't need you to keep score or to check the clock. Because the moment you wait for karma to strike, you're still tied to the very people you were supposed to release. You're still playing the same game, just in silence. That's not peace. That's obsession with better manners. Real power isn't waiting for someone else's punishment. Real power is walking away without needing to see it. Imagine this instead. You rise, quietly. No revenge, no updates, no checking their downfall online. You just build, you grow, you move so far ahead that their chaos can't even echo in your world anymore. That's the highest form of karma, being too far beyond to care. Because karma doesn't always look like public failure. Sometimes it's private emptiness, it's sleepless nights, broken relationships, success that feels hollow because it was built on lies and ego. And you don't need to witness it. You just need to stay ahead of it. Let life handle the balance. Your job is to keep evolving. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That's not poetic, it's practical. While they're still feeding on resentment, you're feeding your purpose. While they're stuck repeating old patterns, you're becoming someone they can't reach. Karma works quietly. You don't have to watch. You just have to stay too focused to care. So the next time you catch yourself waiting for justice, stop. Ask yourself, is your attention still chained to the past, or is it fueling your growth? What if the true balance isn't in watching them fall, but in rising so high they can't even see where you went? Because freedom is the real revenge. Peace is the real victory. Let karma move like water, steady, silent, inevitable. But you move like fire, fast, focused, and gone. At this stage, you begin to understand something powerful. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Not to those who twisted your words, not to those who disrespected your boundaries, and certainly not to those who tried to provoke your peace just to feel relevant. Because the moment you start explaining yourself to someone who's already decided not to understand you, you've already lost. You've stepped down from your power to seek validation from those who never deserved your presence in the first place. In a world that thrives on noise, the rarest strength is silence. Not the silence of avoidance, but the silence of knowing. You don't defend yourself when you're certain of who you are. You don't justify your calm when you've outgrown the chaos. Let your actions be your voice. Let your results speak with such weight that no argument can compete. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The same applies here. Stop trying to convince people of your worth. Show it through discipline, through consistency, through how little of your peace you're willing to trade. Every explanation steals time from your evolution. Every argument robs energy from your empire. Every attempt to please is a tax on your soul. The lion doesn't explain its roar. The mountain doesn't apologize for its shadow. So why should you shrink to comfort those unsettled by your strength? Your growth will threaten the stagnant. Your peace will expose their chaos. Your success will irritate those who built their self-worth on comparison. But that's not your concern. Stay centered. Let your calm unsettle them. Let your presence do the speaking. Because in the end, transformation is the only language that silences disrespect completely. Not the kind you broadcast, the kind that radiates quietly from every choice, every action, every moment you choose clarity over noise. From here, let's bring the philosophy down to the ground, where life happens, where emotions are tested, and where your silence becomes proof of strength. When someone disrespects you, don't chase an apology. Don't beg for closure. Just rise. Level up so relentlessly that your absence feels like a wound they can't heal. Let your progress become the mirror that exposes their mistake. When they question your silence, don't explain it. Don't try to prove that you're at peace. Let your results speak. Let your life answer the questions their ego keeps asking in the dark. Because nothing disturbs the weak more than watching the person they tried to break become untouchable. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." In the same way, stop wasting time trying to convince people of your worth. Be undeniable. When they expect your reaction, give them evolution. When they wait for your anger, give them excellence. When they look for weakness, give them nothing but progress. This is the real flex. Not revenge, not comebacks, but transformation. The glow-up they never saw coming. The peace they couldn't destroy. The life they once tried to block, now shining beyond their reach. Ask yourself this: who are you still trying to explain yourself to? Who are you still hoping will finally understand? What if you stopped trying altogether? What if you just became so steady, so elevated, so wildly focused that no opinion could touch your calm? Let them misunderstand you. Let them underestimate you. Because one day they'll have no choice but to watch you rise, not with noise, not with anger, but with a quiet greatness that speaks for itself. Advancing to the 12th chapter, this is where illusion ends and power begins. Forget the fantasy of dramatic confrontations. Forget the hunger for that last word, that perfect comeback, or that glorious moment where you prove them wrong. That's not strength, that's distraction. The truth is, revenge doesn't live in confrontation. It lives in transformation. You don't win by burning back. You win by controlling the fire within, the kind that lights your path, not their chaos. Every time you respond, explain, or try to correct someone's perception, you feed the very thing you should be starving, their need for relevance. That's what disrespect really is. A test, a bait, an invitation to surrender your peace for their entertainment. But the Stoic refuses the invitation. You don't need to fight fire with fire. You rise above the smoke entirely. Because real mastery isn't about proving them wrong, it's about being so focused, so centered, that they no longer matter. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. It's simple but ruthless wisdom. You don't destroy them by mirroring their behavior. You destroy them by becoming someone they could never become. Let them gossip. You grow. Let them whisper. You rise. Every breath they waste on you only builds your legend higher. That's the quiet victory most people never understand, the one earned in silence, not spectacle. Let's be honest, the moment you stop checking their posts, stop replaying their disrespect, stop arguing in your head about what you should have said, you've already won, because that's the moment your focus returns home. You reclaim your most valuable resource, your attention. And attention in this world is currency. Spend it wisely. Every ounce you give to bitterness is energy stolen from your evolution. You want revenge? Redirect that energy. Channel it into progress so undeniable that silence becomes your loudest weapon. Don't chase closure. Build results. Don't argue for validation. Build mastery. Don't dream about seeing karma strike. Become calmer through excellence. Because the truth is, while they waste time watching you, you're building a life they'll never catch up to. Revenge isn't them seeing you angry. It's them seeing you unbothered. It's walking past them years later, not with bitterness in your eyes, but with purpose in your stride. It's the calm confidence that says, I don't need to prove anything. I became everything you said I couldn't. That's the kind of vengeance that cuts the deepest, because it's not loud, it's undeniable. Here's the universal law they forgot. What you focus on, you empower. What you ignore, you starve. And nothing starves manipulation faster than indifference. Stop feeding their noise. Stop energizing their drama. The moment you stop reacting, they lose their fuel. They shrink in the absence of your attention. You reclaim your power not through fighting back, but through refusing to engage. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." Freedom in this sense is the courage to walk away, not because you're weak, but because you've evolved beyond the need to explain. It's the courage to stop chasing justice and start living it. When you become disciplined enough to build quietly, you no longer need to announce your transformation. It speaks through your peace, your confidence, your results. So, stop wasting time on dramatic endings. You don't need to destroy anyone, just evolve so completely that their world can no longer contain you. Train until your focus drowns out their words. Build until your life becomes the answer to every insult. Evolve so deeply that they can't even recognize you anymore. They tried to distract you, but instead they awakened you. They tried to test your peace, but they ended up sharpening it. That's the paradox of the Stoic path. What was meant to break you becomes the very force that forges your strength. So take a breath and ask yourself, who still holds space in your mind that shouldn't? Whose voice are you still replaying? What if you stopped reacting altogether? What if you chose not to chase justice, but to become it? Not through anger, but through mastery. Not through words, but through action. Because focus, when wielded with discipline, is the Stoic sword. It cuts through noise. It ends battles before they even begin. So let them gossip. Let them doubt. Let them wait for your reaction. You'll be too busy building something they'll never touch. That's the final lesson. You don't need revenge or validation. You just need direction and the courage to stay on it. You just need to rise, quietly, powerfully, permanently. Because while the world watches who you clap back at, you'll be too focused on building what they'll never be able to tear down. That's the kind of victory they'll never recover from. You don't need applause. You don't need validation from those who once tried to break you. What you need is vision, a future so vivid and unshakable that no words, no actions, not even your past can hold it back. They tried to pull you down with disrespect, but you chose differently. You chose focus. You chose calm. You chose growth. And that choice will always be your greatest revenge. Because the moment you stop chasing people and start chasing purpose, everything changes. You rise above what was meant to destroy you. You let karma speak for you. You let your life become the answer. Your results will speak louder than any defense ever could, until even your silence becomes unforgettable. If this message reached you, if you've been holding back, staying quiet, or feeling unseen, remember this. You are not invisible. You are becoming unstoppable. Comment below 3 simple words. I choose silence. Let them remind you of your strength. Stay focused. Keep building in peace. And when the world gets loud again, return here for more wisdom to keep your calm unshakable and your mind clear. Your silence is power. Your growth is proof. Keep rising.